So do you want to know how smart your husband is? As a side note, I forgot. I
Um,
forgot to.
all right, so this stream we're just doing a couple of touch-ups. I have my repainted PC characters that we'll be using for this week's session. So we have our paladin here, half-orc, and our druid. I might also be working on some pups. And let me move this a little bit closer, just because it'll be a bit easier. There we go. So I picked up the Animal Adventures minis, the 2 sets of dogs they have, so we might be working on those, or whatever is just sitting around and we're just gonna get to it, because that's what we feel like doing. Hello, hello. How's your week been? We had a solid like week's worth of rain. We're up in Pennsylvania, so obviously nothing direct. It was just some bands left over from the hurricane coming up. Um, and then one evening this week realized there was an enormous water spot in the ceiling of our apartment. So found out there's a roof leak. Got the roof leak fixed. There's still a giant spot up there. We were teased with one bright and sunny day yesterday, and then today was kind of dark, but it's starting to clear out here. Of course, it's just before sundown though, so. What are you priming right now to work on? Yeah, basements are not great. My mom, she lives up along a stream, and it's always, a close bet on. Luckily, the basement doesn't flood, but it does get some moisture content. So this is one of the dogs I'm working on right now from the Adventuring Animal Adventure set. It's gonna be a gift for a friend. It's kind of a sad story. This is actually gonna be the video that's coming out this weekend. But one of my very close friends from the Marine Corps, when she got out, she started training service dogs. But while we were in, we weren't very good Marines, and we had a dog that we had in the barracks. And if any of you were ever enlisted or in, you kind of know you're not supposed to do that. And she recently had to say goodbye for now, so I'm painting up her little model here, and it's kind of sad looking back on some of the old pictures while I'm painting her up, but I hope she really likes her. I kind of wish it wasn't, I guess, a memoriam piece, but I think she'll like her nonetheless. So that's why I said I'll probably just hop back and forth between things. If one thing I'm working on gets too heavy, I'll just grab something else to work on. It's kind of how this week's going. My brain's jumping around a little bit. Ooh, the fire giants are pretty cool. I actually been wanting to pick up one of their models. But I don't think I like the print quality from what I've seen in our local stores too much. What dragon are you priming up? Is it one of the like full adult chromatics, or so I guess the young ones? I guess the adult ones are the huge ones, not the smaller ones. Clem, here, send me a blankie. Come on. One of the Michaels ones. Hey, like I said in that video, they work. I'm not gonna bash if it works. I don't have any of the green ones yet. I have, well, 2 of the red that you saw. I had one of the blues. Blue is, for those of you who know, good old blue that everybody understands my hatred for. He's coming along, but there's still a little bit more I want to get done on him. I wouldn't mind getting more of the metals though. I do like some of their prints. I did take the one tip, I don't remember who it was in the other week's chat, about using the acrylic ink for the transparent pieces versus paint. Solid recommendation. Not great price point wise, just to bulk up on them, but if you only need like 2 or 3 colors, I would say it's worth it. I hope you mean a gloss varnish, because I don't have any gross varnish in stock. But yeah, I fought a little bit with the ink staying on until I figured out to prime with some varnish, which it's not really, you know, an intuitive thing, but it is what it is. I am happy though that I grew out of the phase of using gloss on everything, like needing all of the figure to be shiny. Um, there are some figures I like that for, obviously, but like the phase where I was doing all of the small PCs for the table in a gloss varnish did not look great. Okay, let's get. They do, absolutely. Well, and it's like I have one of the frog hemoths, obviously that has to have like anything that you think would be damp or slimy or what have you. But I mean, I was just slapping gloss on everything, and I thought the Army Painter quick shade with gloss was the solution, like the ultimate finishing touch. And I mean, you know, there's always growing pains, but there's some figures that should sit on the shelf that I'm just like, that's not, that's not good at all. Oh, 100%. And I know that, you know, I'm still going to look back in another year's time to today and be like, what in the hell was I doing? So I don't think I'll ever be fully happy with technique, but I think that's just kind of a natural characteristic of folks painting minis. I think that's just kind of unavoidable. Because all of us have to be at least slightly, you know, meticulous about all this in one way or the other. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing it at all. Alright, we're gonna let that dry, and then I do have a little bit of terrain I'm gonna put on there, nothing crazy. If you guys hear any furious clicking or swearing in the background, the better half is playing in Shrouded, so if anyone has any tips on how it cannot eat up a bunch of your computer, just let me know. I know they sell this for mostly like the train models, at least for the store I buy it from, that's what it's for. And I always wonder how fast I could actually go through an enormous container of this. I still have one from like 7 years ago that is not used. And it's just like the top of the peanut butter jar. You don't want to actually take any out because it's perfectly flat. All right. So one of the problems I'm facing is I want to paint one of these to look like a Doberman. However, pardon my arm, I don't think either kit has a Doberman. Oh no, they do. He's a paladin. Oh, that's not at all what I would have made him. I mean, I guess that's what we'll go with. So they do have them as classes and everything. Now, I know there's a game built around it, obviously. People don't, I mean, I'm just buying the minis, so I have dog minis that are, I mean, little adventures. Why not? But I would have made a Doberman a Paladin. I don't know what I would have made him, but probably not that. I ran into a similar problem with these that I did with Bardsung, where I thought I got a lot of primer on it thoroughly, but I didn't. Yeah, 18 years ago for yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I don't think I'm ever going to run out of it. I might need just one container for, 60 years until I die. I really... So I can't complain. I mean, it's not super cheap, but it's also like the smaller stuff they sell at the gaming store for the people doing terrain for their minis is way overpriced versus just getting the giant container. And it's the same stuff. See, the German Shepherd, that was the one I was just painting. It's actually supposed to be a druid. So they got the little flowers and everything, which is kind of why I liked it for this paint, because I like the dog it's supposed to be after in real life. Like, I imagine her, being able to run through the woods again and everything like that. And it's a little sappy, but I think it fits her. Whereas Paladin, I mean, I guess this dog could have been a Paladin. He was a service dog, so maybe. So right now I'm just throwing a little extra primer on the shield because my perpetual issue is out in sunlight. I always feel like my primer looks the same color as the plastic, so you can't always tell where you get it on decently and where you didn't. Go ahead. Not an odd question at all. I see that a lot in the Reddit pages or the Facebook chats, like the groups about it. Some of them, yes, some of them, no. And I know they're all like the Nolzers, Wiz Kids, you know, it's the same ones for Pathfinder and D&D. Some of them, if you look at the print, you can just kind of tell if it needs to be cleaned up. I'm sure I should probably be more consistent and do the same thing for all of them. But I find that generally the smaller ones are the ones that I need to wash. But I also, one of my like third or fourth videos, somebody suggested something. I always run into, so like, here's my original half-orc PC. The axe is bent, right? So I actually do a hot water bath now that I learned actually works to straighten out implements that are printed that are just bent. So I've started using the heat baths, and so some of them I recognize a difference if I do the heat bath, just because it also acts as washing the mini, and then some I don't at all. I mean, I just kind of look it over and look at the quote-unquote ready to paint prime job on it, and if I'm like, yeah, I don't know, that's usually when I clean them up and then I prime them. If it looks okay, but I just want a brighter prime. So these guys, these were like a very clean print, but not primed at all. I didn't wash them at all. You know, I made sure there weren't any bits on them or anything, but they were good to go. I just went straight out and primed them. So, short answer, yes and no. I'm inconsistent. Trial and error, and I mean that's that's the only thing I've got to say for it. But I've seen a lot of folks defending always washing your minis, and then I also see folks that say it's just a waste of time. So, I mean, I guess it's just personal preference, really, like a lot of things. What about you? Have you started or tried or never did it and was just wondering, or? always wash. Hey man, who's getting color? Kind of whatever I feel like painting, honestly. I'm jumping around a little bit. We have some of the dogs from the animal adventures that we're working on. We're also just doing some final touch-ups for the new PC models that I've got for the campaign we're playing on Sunday. And just hopping around, nothing consistent. Why would I ever be consistent? Oh, you've actually had the primer come off. See, I haven't run into that yet. I mean, I usually try to go for chaotic neutral, but I guess I can roll with chaotic good for today. See, and that's interesting you say that the primer washes off. Because, like, even with, I use, like, boiling water whenever I reset the shape. I've never had a problem with it coming off, so I wonder if it's because whenever I wash, even using, like, the soap, it's at a cooler temperature. I don't know. I was gonna do just my paper mache beholder today on the stream, but I think I'm gonna save that all for a video. Just because the only thing I was worried about was live streaming for like 3 hours and then not being able to edit that into the video. So just having this chunk of production missing didn't seem like a great idea. So we're just working on all little side projects. All I'm going to say is it's going to be hilarious whenever it's done, because I have not done paper mache for a while. And even when I did before, it wasn't necessarily my skill set. So this should be a very special beholder. But we'll love him nonetheless. Maybe you just don't have the right luck of picking the right minis to have the primer stay on, man. I don't know. Just stop washing them. Stop abusing them. They're ready to go. I mean, I wouldn't complain too much. Like I said, I just prime over what's already on there anyway, because even though it's quote-unquote pre-primed, I don't necessarily love it all the time. And he's got like a little face helmet and everything. How am I gonna... So what I'm trying to do is, for these that are for a friend of mine, she had specific colors, collar-wise and vest-wise, that she associated with all of her dogs. So I'm trying to incorporate that into their armor. So like for the shepherd, Sam's collar was always red, so I made sure her back bracers and her saddlebags, I guess, just bags, were red. You know, I kept the leafy stuff green since she's a druid. This boy, his main color is green, so I'm thinking I'm going to do just silver plate mail and then do the accents on the armor with the green, because, I mean, everyone's a sucker for silver and green. There's a reason Slytherin was the second favorite with all the kids back in the day. Now for Sam, I did her color coats first, like her actual fur. For this guy, I'm going to do his armor and his details first and do fur last. Mostly because all my reference photos are on my phone and I'm streaming through that. So I don't have any pulled up on screen. But he's got a lot of armor and fancy stuff to work on, so that's not a problem. I always like the live streams because I feel like you guys get a better sense of how unorganized my painting is. like I just flipped sides. There was metal that I'm going to have to paint right next to what I just painted. But since I just did the back leg of the one side, I have to do the back leg of the other side. Like, that's just how my brain rolls with it. will say if you guys need any weirdly, I guess, equipped animal companions for D&D or Pathfinder, even if you're not going to play the animal adventures, these are some absolute quality prints. Detail on them is excellent, honestly. There's a little bit of lining, like anything, but by lining I mean seams. I know that my vocabulary isn't necessarily what everybody else uses, so. See, like, look, he's got a little vial on his back, like a little healing potion. How precious is that? There are still times where I absolutely prefer just doing a two-handed rest versus trying to use the claw, if you will. It just seems easier sometimes, even if it doesn't look like it. Hey Shark, how's it going? doing good. It's the end of the week. Got D&D on Sunday. Some painting tomorrow. My little brother said he wants to learn how to paint minis, so we'll see how that goes. And yes, Kedar, he does have a shield. It's on his little shoulder there. So I'm gonna do his emblem up and everything there in green. So it should look pretty cool. I don't know how he wields the shield or the sword. I'm not asking those questions, but we're just gonna go with it. But yeah, my little brother's coming over. He wants to learn how to paint. And he has apparently a Tyranid army that he wants to work on. So part of me almost wants to record it just to see how it goes, but I won't do that to him first time out the gate. I won't be that mean. But his birthday's coming up this month, so I think I'm going to take him over to the local game shop and get him some nice brushes. And so, if he gets hooked, he's got all the time in the world. He's a teenager. Just sit and paint minis and crank them out while you can. But I hope he enjoys it. I mean, I think it's a pretty rewarding hobby. And I know that I'm just preaching to the choir with that. You guys will agree. I can't imagine any of you would say it's not. Alrighty. So I think I'm gonna do think about what color I want to do for the sword. Let's do the bags. We'll do the bags in a brown. I did pick up a couple more contrasts, so I might use the brown contrast for those. Actually, no, I'll use my regular ones. Let's pull out the leather brown here. So I'll actually probably, on his back legs, because he has like little, oh, sorry, camera's all the way over. Little armor bracers on his front legs, but his back legs have the little wings, and they have, it looks like bootlacing almost, for like leather bracers. So I'll probably do that in the contrast, and then for the bags, just use the regular brown. I say regular brown, I just mean regular paint, not contrast or speed paint or anything. You and all your military paints, Shark. No, those should look pretty good. Are you gonna do actual flame effects off of the teams? Like, I saw a couple folks have, not necessarily for those, but on some Warhammer paints or for terrain pieces, like scatter terrain, so like smoke and flame plumes, I guess. It's they take like the cotton and streak it out with a little bit of glue, and then they airbrush or use a spray can just to get some light color onto it. It looks pretty cool. Oh, yeah, the Imperial Japanese, they'll probably be fun. They'll probably be a lot of fun. Headed over to my dad's this weekend. I know he wanted some historical figures he had me wanting to paint from, I think it was Revolutionary era, not Civil War era. Now these figures have a whole bunch of like fine lining details. So you'll see me dipping my brush a lot, and that's just because I'm trying to barely hold anything on here paint-wise, because I don't want it to fill in too much of the texture. I don't want it to take away from it. Yeah, the LED ones too, absolutely. That's what I was looking at when I was trying to figure out how to do the fog mist kind of effect for my Strahd shelf sitter, and I always go to say those 3 words together, and it just usually ends up with me changing syllables around in a very bad way. It could be easy to muck up, but I mean, it's at least, you know, cotton balls, so it's an affordable muck up. But jungle terrain, huh? So when you were in, where did you go? Because I went to the Philippines twice, and jungle terrain can be fun, speaking from experience, to build out. I don't want to go back through, though. I'm good without that kind of humidity again in my life. So what I would do, I would almost get very thin jewelry wire. So like if you went to one of the craft stores and they have, you know, the thinnest, just because you can put like a bead of glue on that. So you can set that from the flamethrower down, and you can use that as your base for the cotton. So it's still a little bit stable and you have a point for it, but you can cover it up. Because I mean, you can almost even, if you get like the, not actual gold, but gold plated or like bronzed wire, so it has that warmer color, I think, I mean, it could work, and then you can kind of help position it before you get the cotton and everything on there solidly. At least that's how I try. I don't know if it would work or not, but it's worth the try. Look at that, chat being helpful. Mm-hmm. I don't do a ton of effects like that, so I can't always give the best advice. And that's simply because, I mean, we generally play in a fantasy aspect versus something, I don't want to say mechanical, but mechanical or historical, where it's one individual would do the same action. It's just, I don't have the reason to, because I would you know, if I would make that, it'd take a hot minute. I'd put it on the table and then 10 minutes later pull it off and we wouldn't touch it again for, you know, 3 more sessions, just based around whatever people would want to use or do. Plus, we just don't have the space to store a whole bunch of side things like that. Eventually, we'll have a place where you can just have shelves and shelves and shelves of terrain and effect bits for the board. But not yet. I would not ask for anything better in the chat versus flammable chemical warnings. You could always use hot glue. I don't know if it would have the same reaction since it's a little less chemical than super glue, but I mean, take your pick for how fun of a weekend you want to have, I guess, Shark. It's kind of up to you. Absolutely. I mean, most of your elemental effects are going to be helpful in multiple realms. Look at our. I don't know if any of us in the chat actually turned out fine, but I believe in you, bud. I feel like maybe further on in the channel, like I said, once I have room for storing all of the, I'd say, textural effects for games, 100%, I might get into crafting those some more and do more videos for them, but as of yet, it's just the plastic cord for now. There's always time to grow. I'm going to make his bedroll green too. Let's get a little bit of extra green on there. Yeah, they've upped the stock of Pro Acryl at our local store too, and I'm thinking about waiting for some Christmas card money to go and pick some up later in the year versus now, because I really do want to get through my side store over here before I bulk up on too much more. But I mean, just their washes alone, I very much like. And I also have to give it to their marketing team. Some of their ads that I've seen online are hilarious, like the automatic paint licker, so you can stop licking your paintbrushes. Every day. I think that probably at least exists in my mind every day. And the only thing I'll say to that, Shark, just because I infuriate myself and I continue to do it, is I always mix a color from a whole bunch of paints and I absolutely love it, but at no point in the process did I note exactly what I used, and then I have to guess in the future to make sure I did the same thing, and it's usually not the same thing. It's the only thing I don't like about mixing and not having the whole variant right out of the bottle. But that's just personal preference for me. And I mean, I would never be a good scientist. Chemical reactions such as cotton and super glue, I would just forget and then do it again, and it would end horribly. Which is funny, because I take notes about almost everything else. So you think I would with this and paint mixing as well, but nope. Just go with it, fling it, see what happens. Maybe you'll have to start a little pocket notebook of paint mixes. I've been gifted quite a lot of small notebooks that I should, but then, you know, I would do that thing where I write them all down, then I put the notebook somewhere where I think I'm going to remember it because it's obviously very important, and then forget where that important place was. And I have considered getting some paint bottles just for my personal mixes. Every time I go to the store, I look at them and they're on the shelf. I'm like, maybe next time, and then I always regret not getting them. But I'm going to the store again tomorrow, so maybe I'll pick some up and we can keep some in inventory. Maybe that would be a good thing. I feel like Pro Acryl is definitely getting back to the painting aspect of miniature painting, and I do appreciate that. 100% I feel the hobby should be accessible and interesting to everyone, so I wholly understand, you know, like Army Painter making 3 tones of each shade of what have you, each color that they would like. And I understand how that makes it easier for some folks. Some people prefer it. But I do like the aspect that Acryl is kind of, and Monument Hobbies, I guess they're the ones that own Pro Acryl, are getting into the learn how colors work. And I know that sounds dumb, but actually get into the painting aspect of painting versus just grabbing color and slapping color onto a miniature. And again, the whole point of this channel is just to be a welcoming environment. Everyone has their own techniques and their own preferences. I mean, even I'm learning how to airbrush. I am not going to mix a new color every time I want to go and layer on an airbrush. So if I can go, and so like my Beholder variant, I went and got 6 different greens, so 2 different colors, each with a low, mid, and high tone, so I could focus on the technique of airbrushing versus worrying about color. I'm a lot more handy with using a brush, so I can focus on my color theory with things like that. So I like that they are approaching it to help people learn more into the base of the art and the hobby. But I also understand not everybody needing that out of the gate too, and some people, you just need to go and pull the exact shade you need off the shelf and that'll do it for you. But I will eventually buy more Pro Acryl. I guess that's all I'm saying. So I'm just doing one more coat of the copper on this one, and once this dries, I'm going to put some of the autumnal foliage on the base for Sam here. Which means I may need to step away for a minute to go and get the glue. Regular glue, tacky glue, not super glue. I did try using super glue for terrain once. It was a horrible, horrible result. And it was one of those where I couldn't find the tacky glue or I ran out or something along those lines. I'm like, oh, well, you know, Gorilla Glue is fine. It'll work fine. Yeah, it's, nope. Nope, it did not look pretty. Yeah, and so do I call you 619? Do I go with Slipic? Do I like what I don't know what you'd prefer. I always feel bad because I don't know how to reference you. And Kidari, is it Kidari or Kidari? Is it like a short or the long I? I apologize if I've been calling you the wrong names. I sincerely, it's not out of hate or anything. But so I said this in another video. All of these MSP paints I have had for almost a decade, and I'm not done with them. So if you ever see me wasting a ton on the palette, it's because I need to get through them. They're drying up, and so I will mix so much paint just to get the perfect shade I want, which is, like you said, it's probably 30 to 40% of my time, and then I don't use most of it, but it is what it is, you know. I'm gonna step away for 2 seconds to go and grab some glue. I'm gonna be right back. "14-year-old me needing something that was..." If I was stuck with all of my old usernames and emails, I always wonder if I would ever be employed. ZB or Z. Got it. All right. Now I have to have a little notebook for everybody's names and nicknames. Shark's just going to have like a little alchemist's book of paint mixes, and the last page is going to be one that opens this portal into a realm where everything is just gray plastic and you can't escape. All right, Kid Z and Shark. We'll keep it monosyllabic. We'll make it easy. Now, I always feel bad when I mess up people's names because my real life name, which some of you know if you're on the Facebook group, it's not difficult in my mind. It's not something new. It does come in clear. You've never seen, yeah, absolutely it does. I love the clear tacky glue. My name's not hard, in my opinion. It's 3 syllables. It's relatively phonetic. And yet everybody always asks, can I call you the shortened version? Which I absolutely hate. It was actually, the shortened version was one of my friend's mom's names as a kid, and that mom was horrible. Can't stand her. So I always feel bad whenever I can't pronounce someone's name right, just from personal experience, but also, like, all the kids I went to school with who do have first-generation parents or something of the sort name their child something authentic to their culture, and then it's just butchered the entire time. Like, there was a girl I was at boot camp with. Her name, she had a very African-based name. The first 2 letters were T and J, which made a K sound, and it was also later in her name. It was her full name pronounced was Kokalamaji, and of course it's Marine Corps boot camp, and they always want to insult you, so they just called her Alphabet. So I jokingly called her Alphabet once. She's like, "Yeah, no," and so I'm like, "All right, so teach me how to say your name, because you know you're looking at someone's name tag for 2 seconds and then just being screamed at, so you don't actually have a lot of time to learn things." Shark, you get it. But I just always feel bad when I mess up, but I do appreciate the singular syllables. I like that the Marine Corps names stick. I still can't believe Boondock stuck for me, but I mean, here we are. And that was from all the Fillmars. That wasn't even like the U.S. Marines. I'll tell you, so my Marine Corps buddies, the nickname that stuck for me was Baka, and this is a good story. So, when you're active duty, right? And yeah, I know, I just washed off my glue brush in the water. Everybody can cringe. Everybody calls you by your last name, right? Well, there's one guy, you know, we're great friends. He would always call me by my first name if we were in civvies, if I wasn't in uniform. Well, we go out and we're in uniform and we're doing our annual training, yada yada. and he's trying to call me by my first name. Wasn't replying, right? I was not responding at all. Well, he's a fan of anime, so if you knew anything about anime in Japanese, baka means idiot, right? Or stupid. Now, I am not a Japanese linguist. I am a Tagalog linguist, or was a Tagalog linguist. Baka in Tagalog means cow. I was always close to my max weight standard, so I'm like, really? You're gonna call me fat in uniform? And he's like, no, I was calling you an idiot, but now that's what we're going with. And so baka just kind of stuck. So that was the American's term for me, if you will, versus the Filipino bundok. I think bundok sounds cooler, but that's just me. A new lesson learned. Don't laugh while you're working with turf, because it just goes everywhere. Yeah, dude, I literally thought he was calling me a fat cow, and I'm like, what the hell, man? Like, that's not, because here's the thing, he was with me on my first deployment in the Philippines. I thought he had learned that. But it's just a good time. I would have been preferred being called an idiot versus a cow. I mean, that's just me. Yeah. Shark, I'm sure you can imagine, obviously I'm very pasty, 6 foot tall me, speaking Filipino to all these, 5'2", 5'3" women over there. Yeah, it was funny. So that's another good joke. So for language in the military, you go to what's called the Defense Language Institute, and you learn from natural speakers. One custom in the Philippines is if you're walking and you're passing two people and they're having a conversation, so say they're in a hallway, you excuse yourself, but you have to duck below their eye level because that's considered, kind. You're recognizing the fact they're having a conversation so they can still maintain eye contact while they're talking. I refuse to believe that my teachers did not on purpose stand in the hallway so that I would have to limbo through if I was going anywhere and say excuse me, just to practice customs and courtesies. Six two, dude, yeah. They would love you. I had one guy, so myself and another guy were the linguist on my first deployment, And I want to say, yeah, he was probably 6'2", 6'3", because I'm 6 foot even, and he was a few inches taller than me, so. Is she really only 4'10"? I really hope that's useful trivia for some point in the future. Otherwise, I just have another random thing to know. Yeah, you would. See, you got stop making me laugh. I keep blowing everything all over the place. Y'all are killing me. I was gonna collect that up and put it back in the bag, but now I'm just doomed to wipe it up. It's okay. I know you didn't mean it. How was my language school? My language school actual learning was a year. So for Tagalog, gonna make me think now. Tagalog, Arabic, those were all a year. Spanish, if you were a Spanish linguist, was 6 months. Korean, Chinese, I think there was one other one, I can't remember, is a year and a half that they allot for you to finish up your schooling. But you have to have it to at least working fluency once you would get to the fleet. So your language school was your A school. And then you'd have a B school where you learn to do all your super secret, secret squirrel stuff, which I'm not talking about. And then you go to the fleet. And then once you get to the fleet, you'd be able to learn dialects. So I learned my base language in a year, and then I learned Yukon in a month. Tausug I started. I had 2 weeks, and then I was an emergency attachment onto my second deployment. So I never got to fully finish my Tausug education. But I knew enough to read and translate, but I couldn't really hold a decent conversation. And that's just because there were words that were the same in Tausug and Tagalog, but meant different things. Like Luma in Tagalog is... See, now I have to check and make sure I don't get it backwards. Luma in Tagalog is old, but Luma in Tausug is house. So you had to really think about kind of how you were going at it. And that's just because it's an island nation, so all the language developed separately between trade and who was coming and who was going and everything like that. Six 3 to 6'4". Yeah, I have someone in my family that was over 7 foot, but they are on my dad's adopted side, not biological side. So I don't get any height from that. I always joke that it's just natural height. My mom's side has some taller folks on it. Not a ton. I mean, I'd say that the tallest is maybe 6'1", 6'2". I always wondered if maybe it was recessive on my mom's side. My dad found his biological family. None of them are exceptionally tall either. I mean, 6 foot's probably the tallest. Maybe 6'2". I'm trying to think of how tall my uncle is. I think he's 6'2". I don't know, nothing exceptionally tall, but here we are. I was joking around with one of my coworkers the other day. Because last Friday I'm like, man, I can't wait to see, you know, how many people hop on the live stream and you know, tune in and stuff like that. And it was funny to me that throughout my entire childhood, we're always told not to talk to strangers and not to talk to people online, and especially don't talk to strangers online. But now I consider it a successful live stream if none of the people watching are people that I know in real life. Like, it's all people that are just on the internet. It's like, oh yeah, it's awesome. I talked to a bunch of strangers on my Friday evening. You know. It's the same as you know, Uber being a thing now. Yeah, don't get into weird people's cars. Well, I'm going to summon this weird person's car that I don't know who they are, but they're going to take me home. It's okay. You know. It's just funny to me. I think I'm going to work on the green detail on his armor. I do want your guys' opinion, though. So, he's got a sword on his back, right? I really don't know. I'm thinking, like, gold for the hilt and a darker brown for the casing, maybe? Or black. I mean, he's going to be a Doberman, so he's going to have a lot of black on the fur tone. What are you thinking? Yeah, it's true, but I always think, like, taxis were licensed, you know, versus just some random dude signing up. And I know now they have a lot more in place to make sure it's safe, but it was always just kind of funny to me, you know, just like, oh yeah, it's just some guy with his car can sign up to run people around. Okay, let's see. Let's pick a good green for him. Bet you guys won't guess what I got in the case. It's more paint. Then we're gonna go with the Citadel on that one. I think that one actually wins out.
Are you kidding me?
I have not, and I have to admit, I probably won't. I'm not a huge tequila person, and I don't drink liquor a ton anymore unless I'm out. I really try to only have beer in the house or wine. That's just from personal choice and experience. But my liquor of choice is definitely whiskey or bourbon. They're not wholeheartedly my thing. I just know that I will not make any stupid decisions or lack of self-control. And it's just a personal preference. My Marine Corps days were those heavier days, Shark. We can leave those behind. Red for the scabbard. That could be good. I was thinking either red or purple. That red might work. These are dog men, Shark. Oh, mead. Kadari, kid. I brew my own mead on top of the fridge sometimes. I make straight mead and melomels. Champagne yeast, make it carbonated and everything. It's pretty good. It just don't let it go too long, otherwise you'll need a DD for maybe just 2 glasses. I mean, it's dense. But yeah, Shark, at the start. So this is the Animal Adventures that came out. So they have dogs and cats that are different classes. And so you'll get a kick out of this. So the one that I just added the basing to, this is a German Shepherd Druid. Now, the reason I painted her the way I did is my friend and I, while we were in, we had a dog in the barracks. And as you know, you're not supposed to have dogs in the barracks. Essentially, someone was headed out, was not taking care of this dog, so we tactically acquired her and took care of her. She became my roommate, and she was just the sweetest, nicest pup ever. And that friend went on, once she got out, she trained service dogs, or just does dog training in general. And she has what we call her horde. I mean, she has a large number of dogs, all well trained, all excellent personalities. But she recently had to say see you later to Sam and one of her other pups. So I unfortunately, I wanted to paint these for her birthday in November and send them as a birthday gift. But now I just want to get them done almost like a memorial piece to send to her. And I'm going to get into that a little bit more. The one for Sam is actually going to be my video for the week that I'll be posting probably Sunday morning, maybe tomorrow, not sure, most likely Sunday morning. But so I originally got these 2 packs to paint up little doggy adventures for her to have, alongside her horde. So that's what we're working on, which is why I keep jumping around in case, you think about one thing too much, then you get sad because, it's dogs. Dogs make everybody happy and sad. So I'm trying to work. The green is on his armor because green was his collar color, and then Sam had red for her collar color. So that's why her bags and leg bracers are that red. It's the same as her collar. Oh yeah, kid, tactically acquired. That's probably one of my favorite phrases. It's just accurate. Snakes. Dude, any animal, the only animals I don't love, I will respect them, but I do not love them, are centipedes and squids. And that's just from personal experiences being in Hawaii and the Philippines. They can exist in their corner, do their own little thing as long as they're not bothering me. But I have, friends that have had snakes. I had lizards as a kid, mice, cats. We never had dogs, but we had farm dogs at my friend's farm. I used to do barrel racing, love horses, things like that. See, they're fascinating, yes, but I used to do a lot of spearfishing when I was stationed in Hawaii. And like octopus and squid, I just always had this fear of, because you hear these horror stories from divers about them like latching onto their mask and like trying to pull it off and drowning. Nah, not my cup of tea. Like I said, if they're over there, they're over there. If they're good, it's fine. We're all good. Come a little, no, nope, nope. Never got a swordfish. There's one guy that was at the dive shop that I used to get a lot of my gear from. There's a picture of him. He went out with actual scuba tanks on and a spear gun versus I used to just do like the small, just right off the coast, the slingshot spear. He'd go out with the full spear gun. He got this enormous ahi tuna. I mean, this thing was just huge, right? And I'm like, how did you feel comfortable towing this back up to the surface? Because he was out in water, like, I mean, deep water. It wasn't like you saw the shelf. I mean, deep water. Didn't see the bottom. Like, you're hauling on this giant tuna. It's bleeding into the water. How do you know nothing's gonna just come along and like swipe you up too, man? He's like, oh, you just when it feels good, you just know. And I'm like, yeah, sure, okay, I'll take your word for it. Like, oh yeah, they're not squids, they're mind flayers, dude. No, because some of them are aggressive as hell, and it's like it's always the little ones. It's always the wee little squids. Just, no. One of my favorite. There was It's called Electric Beach. It's right off of the one power plant, so you can catch the hot water going out. Tons of fish. I always used to get goatfish, which it's like catfish. A lot of people don't, want to eat quote unquote bottom feeders, but it's just like a saltwater catfish. You do that with a little bit of, salt, pepper, and lemon. Just grill them up. So good. See, kid, I like jellyfish just because they're like a ghost. They're like a living goat. They're just water. Just going along, just doing their thing, just drifting. I understand being afraid of the stinging aspect of the jellyfish. I respect that. But no, I always thought they were cool. Yes, out in Sharklands. I saw a few. That's the thing. I'm cool with the shark coming in. That's fine. Just punch him in the nose, wrestle him a little bit. You got a dive knife. Squid latching itself to your face. Not a whole lot you can do. You can't stab your own face, Just it's generally frowned upon when you're diving. But when we went fishing, it wasn't a ton of big boy sharks. You had like the little tiger sharks and things like that. Nothing obscene. I could have gone fishing where there were big boy sharks, but I'm good. I don't need any of that. So so did it just like slide straight down your back? Or was it like, you know, like those sticky hands that when you throw them against the wall, they do like the flop on, like, is that like what texturally, how does a jellyfish just, oh, jeez, kid. Yeah, some of those sharks and elephants out, or elephants, oh my god. I wanted to say like, I'm reading the word elephant, I swear. I know elephants aren't aquatic. No, sharks and whales out there, I mean, they're just massive. I always like the idea in sci-fi of like the space whales that people come up with. I always think that's just like an ingenious idea. Just, you know, even though space is a vacuum, just write however you will. But yeah, I don't know why more people aren't afraid of the ocean, honestly. There's just a lot out there. It's not great, not fun, not a good time. See, it's a little scary, but if it's that big and it eats me, I'm dead. I don't I don't have to worry about it. You know, I don't. It's just once and done. I'm good. There's not a lot of suffering. It's okay. Thick, thick slime. Yeah, I can understand not liking jellyfish after that, kid. I probably not a fun experience. Absolutely, kid. Like, I feel like, I don't know, like space is unknown scary, but in an experimental way. And you're like, yeah, ocean is definitely like respect scary. Like, look, I'm not messing with you. Like, the fact that, you know, man is gonna go out and explore space. I mean, I but not mess around with the ocean. I get that. I also like when people always say it's shark infested waters, even though that's just their home. Like, no, it's just the humans are the ones moving their way in. Like, if you're taking the risk, you're taking the risk. That's on you. It's not on the shark or the squid or eels or whatever feels like. Whatever feels like having a snack, I guess. That's the word I was looking for. See, something like that, hopefully it's so sudden that your brain doesn't compute it, and it's, I don't want to say peaceful, but like you don't recognize what's happening. I hope. It's like you guys are going to get me on a tangent. I apologize. But like I said, hopefully like that one, you don't know what's going on, right? There's a corner of YouTube. There's so many corners of YouTube. There's one channel I watch that talks about like caving, splunking, or cave diving accidents. And it's like I always watch these, and it's like obviously people, like, you don't have to do any of these activities. These people are putting themselves in these situations, and you're just listening to it, like the one, you know, being trapped for a day and a half while you're slowly being deprived of oxygen, and just stuff like, and just like being fully conscious, like, well, yeah, they can't do anything. Like, I'm going to die here, and you're just sitting there with that knowledge the entire time, versus just, you know, one bite from a shark and you're just swallowed up. I'd probably take the shark. Just personal preference, but All right, kid. It's nice seeing you or hearing you or reading. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, should be another live stream next week. So you take care, man. All right. All right, let's give him a nice deep red for the scabbard. keep finding little bits of silver that I missed right on the inside. And I got paint on me every time. Little bits of silver on the bracers. There we go. All right. And seriously, how does this keep happening? So he might be nearing all we can do on the stream. Like I said, all of his reference photos I've got on my phone. So I've got pretty much all of his armor done. And I don't want to do any washes on him until I get the fur color done. Now, something that I think is excellent, I'm going to bring it up in my video. But for those of you here, before you see the video, you'll know. You get the scoop. So what I did for Sam here actually ended up working really well, because so she's a German Shepherd. She has black, brown, and white, tinged white fur, right? So what I actually did was I went through with my contrast brown, like, which one was it? It wasn't that one. It was this one. So it's brown fur color done by Citadel, right? It's a darker one on completely white primer. And so it was like thin, bright coat, so I could still see the white through it. Then the next that I went over, because her fur was black, but not deep black. It was like that, you know, like chocolatey black fur that you get with Shepherd, because it color tapers as it goes up the fur. I had my Noir black, which is a bit softer. It's not a glossy black. It's not hard black. So I used the Noir, which is, I guess I'd say like a bit more matte. It has more of a charcoal feel to it, mixed with, not mixed, but thinned out with the black wash from Pro Acryl. So what I did was, instead of wetting my brush with water, you know, to thin out when I'm pulling up the paint to keep that thinner, I essentially had a medium wet brush, dipped it in the wash, took a dab of the paint, and once I pull the paint, like, so I would mix, I'd pull, and I realized my hand's in the way. So I dab in paint, I would dab in the wash, and so I'd pull the brush up the side of the well just to get just a little bit off, and I went over the brown with it, and so it almost has a bit of a softer effect to it, at least I feel. It feels more like fur versus just a solid block of color, which made me really happy with how that came out. So I'm probably going to use a similar technique with Major's figure. Of course, again, he's a Doberman, so I'm working with the same colors, brown and black and white. So similar technique, less fluffy though. Obviously, they have a bit of a sleeker coat. So I might use a little bit more paint than wash, but we'll see. But that is what I would say I learned with this mini, and it came out great. For her white spots, I did brown. I did the brown coat on the entire pup, and then I did the white over top of it, which was a linen white, so it was a bit bright. And then I went over with the Army Painter soft tone, which muted it a little bit. And while that was still slightly damp, I had just itty bitty dabs of that linen white, and I would just dab and pull just a little bit to kind of mix it in there, and it kind of gave a little bit of that feathering feel to it. So I'm exceptionally happy with how that turned out, and we'll definitely be using it on the other dogs in the future, because I think she's cute. So I guess that's the last call. Probably 5 minutes left on the stream. If anybody has any weird questions or anything like that. I know I said I'd stay on for a bit, but you guys actually showed up earlier than last time. So I don't need to stay on much later because everybody showed up and kind of camped out for most of the time. Again, I'm always thankful that you guys tune in. we'll see what we do next time. I have, you can see all of them over here, a whole lot more dogs to paint. And they're just, I mean, look at this little guy. Look at, he's got a little pirate captain hat. I mean, there's, why not enjoy just sitting down and painting them on a Friday? It's not serious. It's just for funsies, you know. I think they're fun to paint. I think they're really detailed. Like I said, if you need a weird companion for one of your adventures, I'd go out and pick them up. So yeah, that's about all I got. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Like I said, video will be up Sunday, probably another live stream next Friday. We'll see what that is. I may put another poll up. Again, give you guys some pre-designated ideas of what I would work on. I do have some prints from Etsy that should be coming through. Maybe we can work on those. I do have a werebear with one of those, I think. And I think they're all 32 millimeter scale, so they're a bit bigger. It's from the Painted or Not store like I got the other ones. I'm really happy with their prints, so if you want to check them out, highly recommend it over on Etsy, Painted or Not. They have PCs, they have monsters, they have gods, demons, the whole gamut. They have some dragons. I know they've got a Tarrasque over there if anybody really needs to punish their players. But otherwise, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you all next week. Take care.